And we know that Donald Trump does respond to personal relationships and personnel. It's not always the government that he's dealing with, and the person in charge can make all of the difference. Justin Trudeau definitely had an its time factor. They always you always get that after a decade or so, but also it would seem that Mark Carney is way more centrist.
He is, but he's also way more serious. And I think that probably makes as big a difference. Keep in mind, your
Yeah.
point is well made. Trump likes to deal with people that he likes. That doesn't tend to fall neatly into political groups. He likes some leftists. He doesn't like some right wingers. So that the fact that this guy is more centrist, I don't think will be as big a will play a bigger role in the relationship, as he's just a very serious person. As you've mentioned, his resume is quite impressive. I mean, Justin Trudeau's resume was that his dad was famous. So, and Trump always knew that. So I think that you might see a new attitude from the White House towards the Canadian leadership now that they have somebody who, in Donald Trump's language, looks like he's straight out of central casting.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go more broadly to the tariffs as well, because we've seen Trump do Trumpy things like announce a trade tariff on Canada and Mexico, actually implement that, go so far to see the initial effects of it, at least the market reaction and investor reaction, and then pause them for a month. Now, we've got a deadline here in Australia for exemptions on steel and aluminium. We've had Pete Navarro say, no, we don't like what Australia did after the last exemption. It's not going to happen. But how do we read all this, Mick? Please translate and interpret.
It's going to be a whipsaw kind of period, LJ. It just is. I mean, Trump, the tariffs have been on and off and on and off here. We also have some reporting out of Washington in the last 24, 36 hours about a meeting late last week of the cabinet to sort of confront Elon Musk on his Doge work. And then Trump came out and said that Doge will proceed moving forward with a scalpel and not a hatchet. So the dial has sort of changed as well on Doge. I think the Trump team is still trying to get their footing, number one. And number two, Donald Trump still looks at the markets, and when the stock market loses 1,000 points in a couple of days, he really doesn't like that.
Yeah, that's right. And you could see it real time as these announcements were being made. I think it was Fox News that had the Dow on the screen, and you could just see it losing numbers and going down as more words came out of his mouth. He wouldn't like that at all. As you say, he really does like smart people, or people he thinks he can do deals with, or people that he thinks that he might get along with. Where's this all going when it comes to Elon Musk and Doge as well? Because there is a meanness to Elon. There appears to be a meanness to Elon Musk's modus operandi here. Is he uncomfortable with that? Any signs that he doesn't really like it?
If I wanted to be charitable, I wouldn't describe it as a meanness as much as a directness, and that is different than government. And that's not what government is used to. What Musk is essentially trying to do, Laura, is to bring some of the principles that he brought to some place like SpaceX into the federal government. Just absolute passion about efficiency and transparency and the like. And that's not what government does. So we all knew it was going to be a rocky road. Musk pushed harder than even I thought that he might. And some folks have started to push back. So that tension is probably natural. My guess is they'll find an equilibrium, and they have to. And that's why I think they will, is that Trump can't get rid of Musk and Musk can't get rid of Trump. So they have to figure out a way, at least for a while, to work together. My guess is they will.
Yeah, I mean, broadly, it's got to be popular what Musk is trying to do, and he's exposed all these inefficiencies and how many billions of dollars are being spent every day without those checks and balances. But on the other end of that, Mick, this has been able to go on for decades. So there is a real human cost to that as well, even though it is fair to be clamping down.
It is. It's certainly fair to have the conversation, but keep in mind, Congress votes on every single dollar that is spent in the United States in some fashion or another. So somebody voted for those programs. Even as Trump read that list last week in his speech to the joint session of Congress about all the awful spending that he was going to stop, and the Republicans jumped up and started applauding, I couldn't help think to myself, but they voted for every single one of those things. So yeah, there's going to be that tension. It's always hard to get spending bills passed. The government runs out of money, I believe, at the end of this week. By the way, we'll talk about that next week, see if it's shut down by then or not. But it's easy to sort of draw attention to some of the spending abuses, but really, really hard to pass spending legislation. And I think that's where Elon Musk finds himself right now, that no man's land between those two places.
Mick, fascinating as always. Always great to talk to you. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Laura.